We're now on to the third point of Calvinism, the doctrines of grace, which is limited atonement or effective stroke definitive atonement. We believe that Jesus' substitutionary death accomplished the very purpose for which God had designed it, namely, to save his people from their sins. We believe that God is sovereign in salvation and sent his Son to suffer the sins of his people. That is, Jesus' death is penal. It actually paid the price for sin. It suffered God's wrath. It appeased God's anger against sin. Therefore, if Jesus' death accomplished this, if it really appeased God to the full, if it really dealt with sin, God must accept all people into his heaven. He must forgive all and grant salvation to all. Now, because we know this is not the case, in fact, this is a heresy called universalism, that all people will be saved. It therefore stands to reason that Jesus' death must only have been for certain people, for God's elect people, those who he loved from the beginning of time. If God indeed sent his Son to die for the sins of all the world, then all the world would have to be saved. We therefore believe that texts like John 3:16 mean all the world, in the sense that God died for people of all nations, of all races, of all colours, of all languages and gender. Now, we do not believe this is unjust in any sense, because all the world is depraved totally, as we said in our first point. It deserves God's wrath and will therefore stand at the judgment faced condemned. But those who God has loved eternally, his elect people, God chose to save them from their sins and sent Jesus Christ to die especially for their sins. That's why we say it's limited atonement. It's not limited in its effectiveness or power to make peace between a sinner and God. It's limited in that it is especially for God's elect people, those God loved before the foundation of the earth. And this is the doctrine of limited atonement.